episode of Divine Chat. I'm your host, Mariah Alexander. Hi, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Divine Chat podcast. I'm your host, Mariah Alexander. Thank you for being here. This week has been so good. And what's really on my mind and what I really want to talk about today is we're going to be talking about just discernment and friendships, right? I know like most of us have all had friends that we knew we probably shouldn't have really been friends with. And we had that gut feeling, and maybe there's several situations that happened before you actually stopped being friends. That's what we're talking about today. How to discern when you really shouldn't be friends with someone. And I'm going to tell you guys about one of my stories. I probably have several, but one of the ones that really stuck out to me and that like the divine, the universe has been bringing back up to my mind is a situation I had with someone I thought who was my friend, but really wasn't my friend. They only really were friends with me because of like the magnitude that I could attract things, it felt like. And I guess they just liked being around my energy. And I think it's very like important for us, especially as soul workers and us people who have like big hearts. It's important for us to protect our energy. And protecting your energy does not mean like, hey, you have to cut everyone off all the time or like, oh my gosh, like I have to just not have any friends and I expect everyone to be perfect. No, that's not what this is. But we do have to have discernment and we have to protect our energy because then we kind of end up getting hurt when we thought like some of these people were our actual friends and they weren't our friends. They only liked our energy. They liked what they could get because at the end of the day, we have to like visualize how these people think. They don't think the way that we think. And most of the time, it's probably really fun for them to be around us when we're always attracting fun and we're always attracting like unique experiences and we're always just taking up space, shining our light, being magnetic. They love that shit. And they should because it's fun. We are fun, like soulful, divine beings. We spread our light. We have goodness, we have kindness in our hearts, but sometimes it's taken advantage of. And then we end up being used and we think some of these friendships and people in our lives are genuine and they're not. And that's kind of what I want this episode to be about today because I feel like we've all been there. I just want you to know that you're not alone and that it's okay to have failed friendships. It does not make you less of a person or less of a divine being. And it's completely normal for us light workers and divine souls to run into hiccups with friendships and relationships in our lives. So let's get into it. I had this friend for years. We kind of grew up in the same church. We knew each other probably since we were like 11, 12, 13, those awkward years. And we had a similar friend. We had a mutual friend in our early childhood, you know, and me and her were not that close. We just had a mutual friend. And that's how we like originally knew each other. Me and her hang out in our early 20s. We start having so much fun together because we have the same interests. You know, we go on wild adventures together. We have all these fun, like, you know, nights out, meeting random people. And just, you know, it was a time. Like, it really was such a good time in our early 20s. Me and her, like, used to have so many good times. And, you know, I thought we were really, really close. And, you know, I think we were pretty close. I feel like sometimes people change over the years, and that's to be expected. So I feel like what really started to change our dynamic and our relationship. And one of the first like red flags I saw when the spirit of discernment was trying to show me, like, hey, like, maybe you really shouldn't be friends with this person anymore, was when she got a girlfriend. So we were really chill. Everything was going great. And I think sometimes we all have this friend who they jump into relationships, but they end up picking like toxic partners. And I understand like everyone goes through like the lovey dovey phase, but this person, let's call her Lori. And so I think we all have like been there and we've seen friendships and we've seen some of our friends like start to change themselves when they start being in a relationship. Because sometimes, like, that's our best friend, but they're not our best friend once they get into a relationship. They start completely changing themselves to people please the person that they're with. And that's kind of what happened with our relationship at first. And when that happened, that was the first time, like, the spirit of discernment was, like, showing me, like, hey, like you shouldn't be friends with this person anymore because they will do anything to people please their partner, even if it means throwing you under the bus. So Lori gets a new girlfriend. Everything's going good. She's in love. I'm supporting it because she really hasn't came out to her like family that she's dating a woman. They're very religious. She didn't know they were gonna accept her, things like that. I'm very supportive, and basically like I was all for it. I was like, yeah, like I'm so happy, like she makes you happy. You should just be yourself, be you. I'm always going to try to support my friends. Like I'm not one to be judgmental about if you're a lesbian or if you're gay or if you want to be straight. And so at the end of the day, what ended up happening was, I guess, like because this was her first like girl on girl relationship, like she just started to change herself and like drastically. She started to change herself things to be with this person. You're good enough on your own. You don't have to lose weight to be with this person. You don't have to like take their crap and take their toxic things that they're doing to you to please them and to be good enough for them because you're already good enough on your own. And you really were very confident before you were with this person. And I just like had to sit and watch a friend like basically be like beaten down to the point where she like got surgery and things like that, which I love that she got surgery. I love that she looks amazing after the surgery. She's taking care of her health, but it didn't really feel like it was about health. It felt like it was more about to please her toxic partner, because the girl that she was with, let's call her Smelly. Smelly was like, a lesbian. She always had lots of different girlfriends. And Smelly had never been with a bigger girl. And so because Smelly had never been with like a bigger girl, she always would like fat shame my friend Lori and made her feel like she wasn't good enough. She wasn't pretty enough. Even when they first started dating, like she would hide her in the closet and tell people like that she wasn't dating Lori and that no, she was not into Lori. But then would secretly be going to Lori's house like in the middle of the night and like just saying, no, we're just friends. When really they weren't just friends. Back to the story. So Smelly was just not a very good girlfriend for my friend, and I had to sit back and I had to basically watch one of my best friends like change herself and really struggle with like her self-confidence, her self-worth, and basically just completely change for the worse and stop really being herself. It really felt like she was putting on a mask and like just shrinking herself. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to tell this story, because like sometimes like when you're a divine being and you are light in this world and you have that gift of discernment and you can see through people and see through things, you have to like see some of the worst things. And we can't always save everyone. We can't always help everyone. And at the end of the day, like it's our job, like when we start to see that, to distance ourselves. So let me go back to the story. So that was kind of like the beginning of like the end of me and her friendship. So what had basically ended our friendship the first time was because I lived in a tourist city and she was still dating that girl Smelly that treated her really badly. Basically, they came on vacation and they wanted to stay with me. And I ended up letting them stay with me. And it was just a shit show. They were so rude, so disrespectful. Her girlfriend was just very rude, disrespectful the whole time. Smelly was. And they were staying at my house and in my apartment. And we ended up having issues because her girlfriend is just a very highly jealous like person. Like she would be jealous if my best friend's attention was on anything. Like me and my best friend can be laughing at like a TikTok video or Instagram post or be like, oh, do you remember the time like we went and did this trip or did this? And her new girlfriend hated it. She was just so jealous and that type of person. Like she didn't want my best friend's happiness coming from anyone except for herself. I have no problems with the gay community at all, but she was just one of those lesbians that did not want her girlfriend happy by anyone else because it just made her insecure, I guess. And yeah. And so anyway, at the end of that trip, it was very clear to me that like we weren't friends anymore. They were just using me for a place to stay. And she let her girlfriend treat me very badly. And I think that's when we got into our first like big fight, was because I was like, are you like not going to tell your girlfriend anything? And she is not the type to. She was the type to people please, smelly, and I just couldn't stand for that. So I think that's the first time our friendship ended. We didn't talk for almost a year after that. And I unfollowed her on everything because I was offended by how she was just completely changing herself to be in this new relationship. And I could see how it was just so like bad for her self worth. And so I kind of didn't really want to be around anyway. And so if we keep going through the story, and what really ended up happening was after that year, we took a break. Her and her girlfriend, Smelly, moved to the same city that I was living at, and they got a house together and everything. And she reached out to me and we started talking again. I was like, well, maybe she's changed. Like, I kind of miss her as a friend. Basically, like, she started messaging me again, and I was like, well, maybe it's time to forgive her. I miss her as a friend in my life. They live in the same city now. I'm just gonna have to put up with the partner that she chooses, and I could just separate myself from the situation and let her do her. So, long story short, we start being friends again. Everything's going good. It's like, it's like that long lost friend that you miss that feels like family. Y'all share all these memories with. And it was good at first, we were going out, like, and we have both changed. I was more into my spirituality journey. So I wasn't even the same person that like she had known in our younger 20s. Like, I'm a different person. I do different things. I like to meditate, do yoga. I like crystals. I like to manifest and just chill out, I still like to party occasionally, but I'm not like the old party girl I used to be in my younger 20s. Lori had confided in me the second time we were working through our friendship. She had confided in me, like, basically her and Smelly were having problems. And they were having problems because after my friend Lori lost all this weight, because if you remember earlier in this story, that, Smelly had kind of body shamed my friend for years. And even at the beginning of the relationship, hidden her because of her weight. And she didn't want to be seen with someone who was overweight and not like society standard skinny. And so my friend Lori, over the course that when we stopped being friends, she had surgery and she lost a lot of weight. And so my friend Lori had confided in me, and when we reconnected, like, hey, like, me and Smelly are having issues because, she's just jealous all the time. Like, it didn't fix anything. And she just confided in me that she wasn't happy with her. And like, she confided in me and a lot more other things of what was going on, like privately. And she just said she wasn't happy, she was ready to leave. So I was under the impression, like, when she reached out and was trying to be my friend again, that everything was cool. Like, her girlfriend knew about it, they lived together, all those things. And so this is when like things started kind of go down, because like, I guess she had never told her girlfriend that me and her were friends again. And so what ended up happening was she kind of like told her girlfriend, Smelly, that we were friends again and that we had been hanging out. And I guess they had an argument about it. I'm assuming these things because my friend Lori lied and really didn't tell me that she was hiding me from her current girlfriend, Smelly. And so I didn't know all this. So we reconnected. We were being friends, going out, doing lunch, doing brunch. And we even like went to Austin together with some of our other friends. And we were hanging out for like 2 or 3 months. And I guess she just never told Smelly. And so I didn't start to catch on until Lori asked me to go over to her house, and we were going to like paint, do a few things, yada, yada, yada. And then she asked me to park like where her ring camera couldn't see me. And I was like, why? Why do I need to park where your ring camera can't see me? And she goes, oh, well, I just don't, want to like tell Smelly about it because like she gets weird, she gets jealous, and it's just, yeah. And I was like, okay, that's so weird. And so I went ahead and parked like where the ring camera couldn't see me. And, we went, did our little wine and painting thing. I left, whatever. So that was just the first time that I should have known that she was throwing me under the bus and using me as a scapegoat. And I started catching on, and I was like, okay, like, what is really going on? And I had asked her about it. She's like, no, she knows we're hanging out. And I was like, okay, well, fine, whatever. Cause like at this point, I'm like at a different place in my spiritual journey and I'm not like the same person I used to be. So I'm just like, that's your relationship. Like whatever you're doing, I'm staying out of it. Like I'm here if you need me as a friend, but I'm not involving myself because you allow her to treat you this way. And so that's what my perspective on it was at the time. So fast forward, a lot of our friends come from our hometown because me and Lori are from the same hometown. They all come from the same hometown to visit us, and they want to go out. They want to get wild, like they want to have a good time. And so they're like, "Hey, can you go out with us?" I'm like,